Hello, on my way to Sky, this time only to do a podcast, the podcast that La Liga team does, and we do it every week, of course, with John Driscoll and Terry Gibson, but this week is going to be John and myself. So this is what I'm going to be doing today before flying to Spain for a week, and the intention is to grab some interviews that will then go into Revista, YouTube and other stuff. So this is the plan of my week. But I just thought, before I do all that, I wanted to give you 5 things that are happening in the international scene that you may be interested in. Let's start with Spain. Spain, of course, drew against Germany, and they've got Argentina next. And what I saw from having watched the game, and I watched it on television because I was at the Etihad to follow the Italy-Argentina game, more on that later. But what I'm seeing with Spain is the fact that actually against Germany they showed they've got a similar level, very, very similar, which means 2 of the candidates to win the World Cup are in a good form, and they are candidates certainly. Germany have got absolutely everything, even in the full backs now with Kimmich and Hector. They got potential. They can go forward. They're good defenders too. Hummels and Boateng, good centre backs. The midfield is full of quality, of course, from Kroos to Özil, Khedira, who his injury is not as bad as first feared, and so on. And front, of course, with Werner, they've got a centre forward that moves with intelligence, scores goals as well. Very modern version of what a centre forward should do. I really, really like him, and I know he's been linked to from Leipzig, of course he is, and he's been linked to Liverpool. But more on that as well next week. I'm going to talk to somebody that will give me some clues on that. But we're staying with the national sides, and Spain have got everything that's required to compete at the highest level. Then you need the look, and you need the goals, and you need a lot of things, but the goals at the right time, because goals that will be scored by Spain. But generally speaking, this is the best Spain that we've seen since certainly 2010, I would say. Why is that? Well, the centre-backs are all sorted, the back as well. Carvajal, Sergio Ramos, Piqué and Jordi Alba, with De Gea in a very good form, even though the goalkeepers have been complaining about the ball. They say that it just leaves as a bullet and arrives to you as a bullet, and sometimes with a very strange swerve along the way. So there's been some complaints on that, but De Gea still is one of the best goalkeepers in the world, of course. Midfield, Busquets hasn't got a clear replacement. Rodri from Villarreal played 10 minutes against Germany. I think he can fill that role, but he needs somebody, Busquets, next to him, and that's the one that has not been decided. He's had Iniesta next to him, Cesc. He had Saúl and Thiago against Germany in different parts of the game. And generally, what I feel is that Busquets needs somebody next to him. And as I said, depending on the game, you can have a Saúl who's more physical, or a Thiago who can play the ball, of course. In front of them, it will be Iniesta, it will be Silva, and the other debate, of course, because you will have Koke, Isco, who has been so important as well for Spain and is recovering the confidence that he's been losing at Real Madrid. In front of them, that's the key, who will be the centre forward, and there is 4 choices, I think. Diego Costa, who will surely be part of the team. Morata, who I think also will be part of it. And then Rodrigo, who is a modern centre-forward, a little bit like Werner. So he moves around, he comes from deep, he doesn't stay fixing the centre-backs, difficult to defend. That's how the goal came against Germany. He came from deep, got into the box, and Iniesta saw him, and he beat Ter Stegen, which is not easy. So would it be Rodrigo or Iago Aspas, who is a similar centre forward than Rodrigo? So that's a decision that we'll have to make, Lopetegui, because out of those 4, I think it will be only 3. But can we say that Spain are candidates to win the World Cup? Absolutely. 2, I've been hearing about Lewandowski, and I'm going to be published more on my paper AES in the next few days. But I have to say, not only his change agents and Pini Sahabi's looking after him. I believe that it's not just Real Madrid who have shown interest in him. PSG certainly have, teams in England as well. But Robert Lewandowski has got in his head to go to Real Madrid. And what I'm hearing is that Bayern Munich may start considering the possibility of letting him go if 100 million or so arrive. A lot of money that Real Madrid will need to raise by selling Gareth Bale too. So there's still things to happen, but Bayern start to get resigned to the idea that he will go, and they will have to look for another centre forward. Of course, you know, there are some available, Werner being one, Cavani maybe as well, Morata perhaps, but in any case they will want James to be part of that deal, James to stay at Bayern Munich, who's showing again the level that he showed when he first arrived to Real Madrid. Still loads to do on that one, but Real Madrid are hopeful that Lewandowski will move to them. Not done, of course, but that's how things are sounding and looking right now. We have to talk, as number 3, of Antoine Griezmann. It's quite clear that he wants to go. He wants everything sorted before the World Cup. That's what he said last week, and the idea is that it gets all sorted before the World Cup. Atletico Madrid still playing their cards, which is, why don't you stay? We're going to get 4 new players. It will be good to stay here, but they very clear thing that he will go. And Barcelona don't want to step on the toes of Atletico Madrid, so have said to Atletico Madrid, when you are ready to sit down, we will do so. And they may even pay, according to Mundo Deportivo, they may even pay a little bit more than the 100 million of his buyout clause, not to get Atletico Madrid upset. Quite clearly, it's Griezmann's first choice, but there will be others. I believe that Manchester United are giving up on the possibility, but they're there or thereabouts in case something goes wrong. The first conversation that Griezmann will have will be with Barcelona, and he wants everything sorted as soon as possible before the World Cup. It bothered him, the talk about his future in the European Championships. It unsettled him, and he wants everything sorted before the World Cup. Argentina and Messi, I saw them against Italy, and Italy that quite clearly need recycling, need winning in confidence, need a new manager, being Conte or Ancelotti or whoever it is, not decided yet. But Argentina have got a clear idea of what they want, and a manager that thinks he's got the time to put it in practice. Not sure he will have the time, because Sampaoli is building from scratch, unlike, for instance, Spain or Germany have been doing for years. Argentina haven't got a plan from the lower ranks, so he wants a team that defends high, high in intensity and energy, everything working around Messi. Now, in the past, Messi has been a striker for them, or a number 10. Messi's going to be more of a midfielder with Argentina. To do so, I think he's defending himself. Messi's talking about having a 4 at the back with 2 full backs that push on, that go forward. So Sampaoli will have to find that, but he also needs defensive midfielders. It looks like Ever Banega will be the one in the centre midfield, but next to him, perhaps Biglia. If that's the case, you've got already 2 midfielders. You will have Messi, of course, and who will join him? Lanzini, for instance, could be one of the offensive midfielder stroke forwards that join him up front or in front of Messi, and Higuaín could be the other one. Now, the question from many people is, what's happened to Balague and Icardi? Well, I think they don't suit this team, and for different reasons. It's a personal reason and also tactical reason. I've got the impression that both tried to settle in the side when they joined Argentina, and it just didn't work. Dybala is too much of another Messi, and Argentina doesn't need another Messi. So Dybala himself said, I don't think I suit this game with Messi in it. So that means, okay, well, you probably won't be able to go with Argentina then. And Icardi, it sounds like it's more of a personal thing. Sampaoli has mentioned that he's been given the opportunity and he hasn't taken it, which means that if he hasn't taken it, there's no time to experiment. In fact, the next game against Spain is it will be the last one before they give the squad. So it will be Messi and 10 more. Of course, it looks like Willy Caballero has done enough, perhaps, to be the number 1 for Argentina, even though he's not playing, but he will fight it with Romero. Otamendi is doing well as well in the role in the centre back. We'll have to see who he goes with him in the full-back positions as well. So 4 or 5 players only determined with Argentina. The rest will depend on if they understand what is required. Di Maria, of course, misses the game against Spain. Kun Agüero as well, both injured. Both will be candidates, of course, to start. More Di Maria than Kun Agüero, actually, because when Kun Agüero and Higuaín have been fit, it tends to be Higuaín who plays there, but Higuaín hasn't always impressed. So a lot of doubts for Argentina, not so much, as we said earlier, with Spain and with Germany, But next, and to finish off, let's talk about England. The last thing I wanted to tell you was about England. It was a really constructive debate that we had in the Sunday Supplement Sky Sports show on Sunday with Gabriele Marcotti, with Martin Samuel as well, Neil Ashton presenting. And it had to do with the fact that I've got the impression that it's a no-win situation for Gareth Southgate. He's in a kamikaze mission, that's how I called it. Why do I mean that? Because he has started with the FA, with Dan Ashworth, the director of football at the FA. They've started a new way of doing things, a new way of playing, a new way of collecting, of attracting players and coaches to the FA. What I mean by that is that they are looking for a profile of player that can play, that understands the game, that is versatile. Those kind of guys that can play as a fullback or as a centre back, like Walker, for instance. And that is, you can see it through the ranks, the lower ranks. Of course, we have been successful in the last couple of years. One warning thing about the lower sides. I spoke to some of the Spanish players that lost the World Cup final against England under 17, and they said that they were like planes, just vroom, vroom. They were so quickly passing by them. Physically, they were stronger. Now, that is not enough in 2 or 3 years' time. They need more. But they also admitted, the Spanish players, that the English guys seem to have the intelligence of not just always play it long. So things are happening for a reason. It's not just physical. There is a plan. That plan has to continue until the first side, of course, the first team. And with Gareth Southgate, he wants to stick to his guns and do it that way. And that's why he wants 3 at the back that can play from the back, a goalkeeper that can play comfortably as well. And he knows too that players like Walker has been coached by Pochettino and Pep Guardiola, so can play in different positions, not a problem. Too much focusing on the positioning of the players. It's about understanding of the game, what you have to do with the ball and what you have to do without it. But why is he in a kamikaze situation? Because I feel that he hasn't got the players to do what he wants to do. And even though he is insisting on the idea, and if he gets it wrong, I think he's got a strong personality to continue, to persevere this summer, and hopefully the FA will insist on him to stay on. And if that's the case, then England will be in a good path. But he's a young coach, and he will have the pressure of the media that won't be as passionate as the FA, I do feel. And if that's the case, how does a young coach that wants to have a career in football as a coach deals with pressure? When everybody's asking you to go in a different direction, what do you do? I do believe, having spoken to Gareth Southgate in one of the videos that you have in the YouTube channel, I do believe that he will continue this path. But it's kamikaze because the players will not arrive in 2 or 3 years' time. The players that he needs in the midfield. At the moment, the forwards that he's got, Kane is exceptional, of course, but Rashford or Lingard, Sterling even, they're too individualistic. They don't think of the passing, they don't think of the positioning, they don't think of other things that hit their move. And sometimes they have to go because they have the pace for it. Other times they have to get better solutions. They have to give better solutions to the side, and they are learning all that. Now, that could be properly glued up by a midfield that doesn't exist in England just yet. And that will be the problem of Gareth Southgate. And at the time when those players are coming through, the Fodens of this world come through into the first team, perhaps it will be time for Gareth Southgate to say, okay, somebody else can come in. Perhaps not. But maybe he has done his job by that point in 3 or 4 years' time. So there's things to be sorted, there's things to be hopeful, but do not expect a lot from England, I don't think, from this World Cup. If it happens, brilliant. But if it doesn't, they are certainly onto something, and it's wonderful to see as well. It's wonderful to see that it's got to do with possession, with understanding of the game, with youth, with energy, and with a lot of things that Gareth Southgate brings to this side. So looking forward to seeing them against Italy, and of course in the World Cup. We'll be talking about all that in the weeks to come.